haunted palace. It had been 3 days since his belly tasted anything. The poverty-stricken Alec could not even imagine anymore what food tasted like. He was left with no energy. He even had to think to breathe. He rested against a giant willow tree in the middle of a thick forest. It was safe for him here and kept him out of sight of the villagers. Of course, nobody cared for a beggar like him, whether he was dead or alive. But after being found out as a thief, they were now on a manhunt for Alec. At one point or another, he had robbed every single one of them to feed his belly. Although the items he had stolen were petty things, like a morsel of bread, an open bottle of wine, a reasonably priced watch, etc. Nevertheless, he was viewed as a great threat to their safety. Now exhausted, seated against the willow tree, sleep suddenly took hold of his tired mind, saving him for a bit from the constant pain of living. Alec opened his eyes to a dark, moonlit night, the sky now growing thick with rain clouds. The hunger, pain, and cold started to become unbearable. He drew in his arms and legs, cuddled himself, trying to get warm, when suddenly he saw a lady wearing Eastern clothes laden with gold and jewels. He silently followed her and entered a big palace. How on earth have I missed this beautiful place? Alec wondered to himself, looking up at it. It is the richest house in the whole town. His feet dragged him slowly towards the dark palace, with dim light oozing out of its few open windows, hoping to warm himself and fill his belly inside. The prospect of a lone woman in such a great house was even more tempting. Alec said to himself, I am going to rob her of all those jewels and money, then run away to have a safe life once and for all. With eyes glittering and stomach rumbling, he entered the half-open door of the great house. It was almost as if someone left the door open, inviting him inside. The air inside was dark and sinister, and it engulfed Alec. After a few minutes, he began to see gentle outlines of the objects inside. Although from outside the palace seemed at first to give off dim yellow light, inside there was nothing but the thin beams of the moon that illuminated its dark interior. As he stepped past the threshold of the palace, the main entrance door closed with a loud bang that startled Alec. Still determined to rob the lady of her riches, he treaded slowly towards the hallway. After taking just a few steps, he stumbled upon an almost hidden, thick, foul-smelling thing. With its discovery, the window curtains started to flutter heavily as though blown by a heavy, deadly storm. His frightened heart started to hammer inside his chest. Although he could not at first see the fleshy thing upon which he had fallen, it suddenly started to reveal itself. He was so close to it that even where there was no light, its margins could be seen with the naked eye. Alec saw that he was lying on the violated body of a man, now gone to rot, with worms moving in and out of his rotted flesh. Suddenly, the dead face opened its blood-filled eyes, looked straight at Alec, and held him by his arm. Run as fast as you can. The dead body whispered in his right ear, then pointed back toward the main door. Alec screamed with all the breath he had and rushed towards the door. Suddenly, he was seized by a strong force. The lady with golden jewels materialized and started throwing him against the walls, one after the other. Alex's screams reverberated in the hall, but out in the thick woods, there was no one to hear, no one to help. The upper walls and ceiling were covered with bats, and they made shrieking noises as they knew their feeding would soon begin. Suddenly, the moonlight was doused by rain clouds. A thunderstorm crashed, drowning out his cries. His body began to tremble, and he wished to all the unnamed forces that he had never, ever come to this place. After being drenched in his own warm blood and battered almost to death, the lady opened her mouth wide and said,
"My husband murdered me for these jewels while disregarding my love. Now I am going to get my revenge on all men."
She started making strange noises and quickly vanished into a wall. The palace became quiet, silent, almost peaceful. The storm outside stopped. Gentle moonlight returned. The front door silently swung open. He ran outside and never looked back. After running for long and fast, he covered a safe distance and fell down panting. He finally looked back the way he had come. Nothing was there, just a forest of trees. He closed his eyes and thanked God for saving him this night.